To begin, let's print out your PDF pattern. Once you download your pattern, you will open your zip file. Double-click this folder on your computer to open the files. You'll want a PDF reader like Adobe Acrobat, which is a free app, to open the pattern. Select which view of the pattern you'll be making. Open this file in the PDF reader, and if you want to print one size at a time, you'll see on the left-hand side a layers option to select the size you want to print. Print on an 8.5 by 11 standard printer paper. Before you print, make sure it's selected to print actual size. Your pages are going to print with gray letters in the background, dotted lines, and diamonds. These will guide you as you line up the pattern perfectly. The letters indicate the column, and the number indicates the order in the row. You can also reference your PDF pattern layout included in the pattern. You'll want to trim the bottom and right sides of the dotted lines, or you can fold these edges and skip the cutting part. Line up the diamond shapes and tape each piece together. When you reach the A letter, this is your cue to move to the next row and align the A columns. This is what your finished pattern should look like when taped together. Of course, the pattern pieces may look different, but the taping will look similar. The Rhodes Overalls are the perfect project to use a variety of fabrics with. You can really use so many options like cotton, linen, denim, gauze, waffle knit, and a blend of all of these. We're always sharing our fabric sources on our Instagram and newsletter. Now it's time to cut your pattern pieces. Prepare your fabric by finishing the edges, washing, air drying, and ironing. I like to begin with large bodice pieces first. So lay your fabric on a large flat surface that you'll cut on and find the selvage edge of the fabric. This is the finished edge like this. I like to lay this edge parallel to where I'm standing and fold the fabric over for enough room for my pattern piece to lay parallel to the selvage edge. Straighten everything out and smooth the fabric with your hands. Pin or secure the pattern piece in place. The reason I'm folding the fabric even though I'm not cutting it on the fold is it makes it easy to create a mirrored piece this way. Each pattern piece needs to be mirrored, so this is a simple way to make sure I'm cutting a mirrored piece without flipping over the pattern. If you don't have enough fabric to fold, just turn your pattern piece to the opposite side to cut the mirrored piece. With a rotary tool or fabric shears, cut along the shape of your pattern piece. The seam allowance is included in the pattern, so cut right along the edges. Continue folding your fabric and cutting out each piece until you have all your pattern pieces ready to go. When cutting, be sure to save your scrap fabric. I've linked a video with 10 ideas for scrap fabric you can reference later. Let's sew the facings to the Rhodes overalls before moving forward. You'll have 4 total pattern pieces, 2 front facings mirrored and 2 back facings mirrored. Take the front facings and line them up right sides facing each other. Pin down the front seam and sew at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Repeat this for the back facings. Now you'll want to finish your seams as you go. You can use zigzag shears, zigzag stitch, French seams, or as I used, a serger. You want to finish your seams so the fabric doesn't unravel. Fold the bottom edge of the facing 1/4 inch and iron. Then fold once more at 1/4 inch and iron again. Straight stitch along this folded edge to finish the bottom nicely. Repeat this for the other facing. Line the front and back facings together, right sides facing. Match the side seams and sew at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Finish those seams and place your facing to the side to save for later. Next, you'll want to select which pocket you want to create. For this tutorial, we are going to create the classic pocket and later sew it to the front of the overalls. Start by cutting your square pocket shape and folding the top edge over to the wrong side of the fabric at 1/4 inch. Press with an iron and flip the pocket over where the right side is facing up and fold over 1/2 inch and press. Quarter of an inch from the sides, you'll want to sew a stitch that is 1/2 inch on this fold. Turn the folded edges right side out and make sure the edges are crisp. This is naturally going to fold the sides in 1/4 inch. Follow this fold and press it in place. Now fold the sides at an angle that is 1/2 inch tall and press. Fold the bottom edge 1/4 inch and press again. Pin if needed to keep the shape and set this aside for later. For more pocket instructions, check out our channel for the tutorials. There are many different shapes that you can create. We are going to make these Rhodes overalls with some leg openings. So if you have decided to skip this part and not create the leg openings, then follow this other tutorial to learn how to do that. It's really simple. If you are sewing the Rhodes overalls with leg openings, then first take the front bodice pieces and one back bodice piece. Match the long side seams starting at the armpit. Sew along the side seam 1/2 inch and finish the seam. Press this seam towards the back. Repeat this for the remaining front and back bodice piece. Now match the front panels of the overalls, right sides facing together, starting at the neckline. Pin down this middle seam until you get to the curved shape of the crotch. Finish the seam and repeat this for the back panels of the overalls. Right now, you won't be able to see the shape of the pants. Before moving forward, you'll want to take your pocket that you previously prepared and pin it to where you want to attach it. I'm going to attach it to the front of the Rhodes Overalls here in the middle, and I pinned it in place, and then you're going to start on one side and sew as close to the edge as possible, so about 1/8 of an inch, and go all the way around, pivoting at the corners. And then when you get to the end, it's a nice little detail to stitch in a triangle pattern like this. And then you can also start this way, or you can pick up your needle at the end and finish off the side that you started on. Find your bias bindings and lay the overalls in front of you with the right side facing up and the legs spread flat. With 1 inch excess on the end, line the bias along the shape of the pant legs, right sides together. Pin in place and sew at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Press the seam to the outer edge and fold the remaining bias strip towards this raw edge. Fold once more towards the wrong side of the overalls and press and pin again. Trim the excess overhang and fold the bottom of the leg up 1/4 of an inch towards the wrong side of the fabric. Fold 3/4 of an inch and press. Sew across this fold to create a casing for the elastic. Now repeat this for the other leg opening. Cut 2 elastic pieces to your elastic measurement in your pattern, and using a safety pin, thread the elastic through the casing. Be careful not to pull this all the way through. Pull just enough for the elastic being at the edge of the casing and pin the elastic to the fabric. Once the safety pin reaches the other side, pin right along the edge. Securely stitch the elastic in place. Repeat this for the other leg and stitch the elastic where you pinned on each side. For the snaps, a great option is open ring snaps and using a setter tool for this. You can use sew-on snaps that do not require an installation tool, plastic snaps, or buttons. You can also find a pack of these snaps that have the tool included in the package, and I've linked that below for you. Here's how I installed the open ring snaps. Mark the position of the snaps on the overlap and underlap of the garment. I marked every 3.5 inches. Now use the setter tool. I installed the snaps according to the directions on the package. Make sure you install the snaps where the binding overlaps to be flat while wearing. Now take your overalls and lay them right side in front of you. Turn your facing wrong side out and insert the overalls into the facing. Match up the notches and seams. When you match the seams, press them opposite directions to make it line up well. Pin this in place. Starting at a side seam, sew at 1/4 inch around the entire facing in overalls, being careful on the straps to pivot around the edges and curves. Turn the overalls right side out and make sure to point out the ends of the straps. Press with an iron, and if you would like, you can top stitch around the entire neckline. Press everything really well, and now you have a beautiful pair of overalls and pattern that is so versatile to use many different options with. I'd love to see what you've created, and if you want to watch the next tutorial for the Rhodes Overalls, click this next video.